All right, and welcome back to episode 21 of the Sports Dudes podcast. I am your host, Jonathan Gurley, alongside my co host and brother, Nick Mackey. And today we have a recap of the Super Wild Card, NFL Super Wild Card weekend. Gosh, that was a mouthful. Uh, and then we've got kind of a discussion, thoughts, and kind of updates on the coaching vacancies, the GM vacancies, essentially the job vacancies around the
Because there's a
NFL.
lot of them.
There is. We have 7 head coaching vacancies, and I think 5 or 6 general manager vacancies.
Yeah, I think
Maybe
most
maybe more.
places that fired their head coach also fired their.
GM, but then you got like places like Tennessee and Seattle that did though.
Yeah. Or
So
I don't think the Falcons did either.
yeah, no. But see that's a kind of a contrast in the Chargers job for Harbaugh, which we'll get in there. We'll get into that in a second. But the first
Well,
game,
there was 8 head coaching vacancies, but one has already been filled.
yeah, I said there were 7.
Yeah, but like there was 8 head coaches slash
Yeah,
GMs that were fired.
yes, and now
Bill
there's
Belichick.
7. Yes, I'm pretty sure everybody knows that. Um, so uh, getting into our first game was the AFC wildcard round matchup. The Cleveland Browns traveled to Houston, Texas for the second time this year to take on the Houston Texans, and the Texans dominated this game. 45-14 final score. The Browns thought they were in it early. It was it was a um, the scoring went Kyami Fairbairn field goal, put the Texans up 3-0. Then the Browns immediately responded with a touchdown run from Kareem Hunt, putting it at a 7-3 game. Then Nico Collins and C.J. Stroud, the dynamic duo that I didn't think Houston fans thought they would get, but they ended up needing. It's
Yeah,
very
he's really
impressive.
busted out this year.
Yeah, he's like the emergence of Nico Collins is something that has I think really helped because Nico was already stepping up and being that number. He was really the number 2. Really, it was like it's like the Debo Samuel situation with Brandon Ayuk in San Francisco. Think of Tank Dell as the Debo Samuel of the group. He was talked about as the number 1, but in reality, we knew it was Ayuk who was the number 1 in San Francisco. I think it's kind of how it was in Houston. But once Tank Dell went down and Nico Collins missed a couple games due to the calf, I believe, you could tell the impact that Nico Collins had on the Texans offense when him not being there. But Nico Collins immediately comes back and has emerged as a true top number 1 to me in the NFL. And I think Nico Collins is going to be a force to reckon with as a receiver in the NFL for years to come. And that breakout we finally saw from this promising third round pick out of Michigan has finally happened. Another Texans third round pick that people in Houston have been high on for years, but makes an appearance in this later. But Nico Collins' 15-yard touchdown makes it 7-10, and you think we have a game on our hands. Then Kareem Hunt, 11-yard pass from Joe Flacco on caps a 6-play, 75-yard touchdown drive for Cleveland. And then the Texans punch back immediately with a Brevin Jordan 1-play, 76-yard touchdown, uh, putting the Texans up 17-14. And the Texans never looked back from here. Cleveland did not score
Never.
the rest. Cleveland did not score the rest of the game. It just became the Texans game. Right before halftime, Dalton Schultz 37-yard touchdown pass from C.J. Stroud capped off a 8-play, 71-yard drive that only took the Texans 4 minutes. Then you had the back-to-back interceptions. You
Yeah.
had 4 plays separating these plays. You had Steven Nelson's 82-yard pick six, and then you had Christian Harris's 36-yard pick six on back-to-back plays. Now, NFL Films, I think it was, the NFL posted an awesome video today that I think cements why we need to have this year a AFC Coach of the Year and an NFC Coach of the Year for Dan Campbell, the Detroit Lions, and D'Amico Ryans of the Houston Texans. I don't know if you saw this video I'm talking about. Did you?
No.
So it's D'Amico coming up to Christian Harris on the sideline with a tablet, and he goes, you stand here and you read Flacco. You wait 2 seconds, take a step in here. You're gonna intercept it, and you're gonna intercept it, and you're gonna intercept it. You're gonna cut off the route. So essentially, he said, stand there, watch Flacco, stand there for 2 seconds, then step forward and cut off Harrison Bryant's route. You're gonna pick him off. That was in the timeout that the Browns took for the fourth down play. Next play, Christian Harris gets the pick six.
Because they just knew what play they were going to call that well.
It just happened to be that that's where Flacco was going to go because it was they only needed 2 yards.
Mm.
He was like, you'll get it. You cut off the route, and just, I mean, D'Amico has done crazy things with this defense, and you're seeing guys like you've seen a number of Texans finally break out. Oh gosh, you've seen Nico Collins break out, and you saw guys like Jonathan Gernard break out. You saw Steven Nelson play really good corner for the Texans this year, and you saw Christian Harris and Blake Cashman really kind of elevate themselves as young linebackers
Mm-hmm.
in Houston.
And um, for a second there, I was going to say, and can we really consider Christian Harris a breakout if it's his rookie year, but it's not his rookie year?
You're thinking of Will Anderson,
Mm-hmm.
who
And
had 7.5 sacks this year.
yeah, what happened? They drafted the other linebacker from Henry 202.
Henry Toto, sixth round picks. He's still there, and he's played certain times this year. But when you're getting the production of Blake Cashman, who I don't know if you remember Christian Harris from that video where it was like Cashman had like 19 or something, like set the franchise record for tackles in a single game, and he was like, "Holy moly!" Where does this kid come from? And I don't know what it is that the Texans have this year, but looking at the final score of the game was a Devin Singletary 19-yard touchdown run. I certainly did not have Devin Singletary as the number one rusher for the Houston Texans coming into this year with Damian Pierce. I mean, you look at Devin Singletary almost had 1,000-yard rushing season on the year and really emerged himself as another kind of breakout candidate in Houston. His carries went up as the season went on. He didn't see double digit carries till they played New Orleans, and then every game he's seen double digit carries. Every game he's seen double digit carries. He's averaging post Cincinnati game. Every game he has gotten more than 10 carries. He has gotten over 60 yards. Now I'm going to
Mm-hmm.
read you 2 games to him. People don't talk about this enough. But Devin Singletary in back-to-back weeks had 52 carries combined for over 300 yards.
Yeah,
I would actually believe it was 300 yards. So that's just another guy that the Texans have, um, that is just playing elite football at the right time for this team.
right. And to start the season, I would have thought that their leading rusher would have been Damian Pierce,
Mhm.
but I don't know what happened. Did
He
teams
was
just
injured a
learn?
bit. He was injured a bit this year and kind of just never got his footing underneath him. But
But I mean, this was a slow start for a lot of running backs.
yeah, no, the running back position is and how running backs played this year does not help the running backs argument of we need to be treated fairly compensation wise when that's not going to happen. When this is just proof that it's so interchangeable with a guy like Devin Singletary and Damian Pierce.
Yeah, I mean, like this did not help that narrative
Hmm.
this year. Like the
Yeah,
down year of pretty much Josh Jacobs, like anybody who was seen as a bell cow
yeah,
and like the number one running back,
uh huh,
like they just struggled right out the gate.
yeah. Man, Nico Collins this year. Back to him real quick. 80 receptions, almost 1,300 yards of offense, 8 touchdowns. I mean, he averaged almost 16 yards a reception. Uh, he's just, I don't know what the Texans have, but the Texans have something going, and I believe, I don't know if I we didn't do the podcast at the time when the Texans were hiring their head coach, but I talked very vocal about how it would be important for the Texans to build a sort of culture in there. This is a team that really hasn't had a mesh together system since Gary Kubiak was here, and even then, it still really wasn't. The Texans
Yeah,
have
Gary
never.
Kubiak was here a long time ago,
Yeah,
for like 10 years.
we're talking a decade this year. This is last year because they got rid of him after they went 3-13 or 2-14, whatever they went. You know,
Jadeveon Clowney's draft here.
yes. Um, so the Texans needed a culture, and the Texans never really had a culture to build on. You go and you get D'Amico Ryans, a former player who played in this city, somebody who what we thought were going to be some rough couple of years to start, somebody who can at least install confidence in the fan base, and somebody can say the right things to a city that has, in their 20 years, has really only had a couple good seasons and hasn't really had much to cheer about. But D'Amico came in, he brought that feeling back
Right.
and installed a sort of confidence that ended up helping the team take take a huge step. Um, you bring in the first year QB CJ Stroud. You make the huge trade on draft day to get Will Anderson. You do all that, and it ends up being right. And last thing before we get your final thoughts on the Texans 45-14 win. Just I know we kind of talked more about the Texans as a whole, but that's kind of what you got to do right now with this Texas team because it's amazing what they're doing. They put up the points. The defense played great. C.J. Stroud, one of the best playoff debuts we've ever seen from a quarterback. The Texans could be considered a threat to be reckoned with in the AFC side of the bracket in the playoffs because I think the AFC is really really weak this year compared to years past. But I think one thing we can say for sure is the Texans have officially won the Deshaun Watson trade. Deshaun Watson didn't play in this game. It was Joe Flacco. The third first round pick will be used this year. We don't know who that's going to be. Then you've got the first round pick being Kenyon Green, and then last year the first round pick that they had led to Will Anderson because they traded that 12th overall pick to the Cardinals for Will Anderson, and that future third round pick that they got in the Deshaun Watson trade turned into Tank Dell.
Yeah, that's a
So
pretty good. That's a win.
yeah, no,
Um,
it's a win. The only way it won't be a win, be just based off the contract that Deshaun got from Cleveland, is if Cleveland wins the Super Bowl, and that's not going to happen anytime soon.
yeah, like if Cleveland, if he would have played and then he would have brought the Super Bowl to Cleveland this year, would have finally took the Browns to the Super Bowl. Um, like the age old joke is. Um,
Mm-hmm.
I could see the contract. It could be worth it. The trade could be better balanced if the Browns start winning
Uh-huh.
better. And really, that's all I got.
Uh-huh.
Um, well, no, it's crazy to me. Coming into this game, everybody thought that the Texans were going to get obliterated because the Browns had the number one defense, or they had like the best defense ever.
Yeah, no, the
Like
Browns defense was
allowed,
was amazing this year.
yeah, but the way people were talking, like you would have thought that they allowed 0 points all season.
I mean, it was a really good defense. I mean, you look at their point totals this year. They held the Bengals to 3. They gave it 26 to the Steelers, held the Titans to 3, held the 49ers to 17, uh, held the Cardinals to 0, Steelers to 10, um, Bears 17, Houston to 22. Their defense was really good this year. Now, at certain points, obviously it wasn't the best, but every defense is going to have their down game. So the hype was real around this Cleveland defense.
Yeah. Okay. Well, if you say so, bud.
Well, it's just, I mean, they
They gave up 45 points to the Texans.
yes, a Texans team that had C.J. Stroud who threw 16 passes, it completed 16 of 21 passes, 200 for 274 yards, 3 touchdowns, no interceptions. You know, I I think the Texans proved that the defense wasn't as good as people thought, but it definitely wasn't a bad defense.
So I guess transitioning from the a team that I don't know, from the Texans, who everybody thought was going to lose, to what everybody thought would be the matchup of the week end, would be the more exciting matchup, and that is the Dolphins at the Chiefs. And I mean, that was kind of anticlimactic. It wasn't a great transition right there, Nick,
Yeah,
but
no,
I'll
no,
try better next time.
no, it's okay. It's okay. I am happy to talk about this. The Chiefs beat the Miami Dolphins 26-7. It was all Chiefs. It was Rasheed Rice, 11-yard touchdown, put the Chiefs up 7-0. Butker field goal. Then it was Tyreek Hill touchdown, made it 7-10. Then another two Butker field goals made it 16-7. Then another Butker field goal made it 19-7, and then an Isaiah Pacheco touchdown made it 26-7. And I was happy to see that fraud head coach and quarterback duo, Tua Tagovailoa and Mike McDaniel, get sent home. Um, Tua's a fraud. Everybody should know it. I've said it for years. That team won't go anywhere. Tua. I saw a tweet a couple weeks ago that said Tua is just the left-handed Mac Jones with good receivers, which is absolutely the truth. Tua is not good in my opinion. I think Tua is awful. He's just not a good quarterback. And Tua, I'm sorry, you're not listening to this. I know it. But if you happen to are, remember in a press conference a couple weeks ago when you said that, you know what? Fine, I'm the worst player in the league. I'm just as good as Jalen. I'm just as good as Tyreek. I'm just as good as Devin. I'm just as good as Raheem. You know what, Tua? You were right. You are just as good as them. You've rode their coattails for 2 years. You're not a good quarterback. Give it up. I saw this on TikTok. How long until Mike McDaniel goes to Chris Greer and says, "Get me my Matthew Stafford"?
Why?
Because he knows he's not going to win with Tua. The Dolphins have had a Super Bowl roster for 2 years in a row, and Tua's let them down.
Yeah, I mean, my thoughts on this game is, I'm not shocked that the Chiefs won. Um, in that, Tua, it's just, I'm not shocked the game ended the way it did. The the Patriots, who
Mm-hmm.
were what, 4-13,
Yeah.
beat more teams over 500 this year than the Dolphins did,
Mm-hmm.
and the Dolphins were in the playoffs.
Yes.
The Dolphins beat one team with a winning record.
Yeah.
And before they beat that, it had been like 2021 since they beat a team with a winning record. Or no,
Uh.
it was sometime last year.
Yeah. It was sometime last year. Now, I'm sorry. I don't get. And see, that's my point. I don't get how you can sit there and not think that there's an issue with either the head coach or the quarterback position with the Miami Dolphins. Because
That you can't beat a team with a winning record.
that you can't beat a team with a winning record or win in the postseason. I get it. You had Skylar Thompson last year in the playoffs. I get it. I I understand. But the injury concerns with Tua and Tua's midseason collapse this year, I mean, we can finally set the narrative that Tua's a top five quarterback and MVP candidate. God, that was pissing me off. Call me a
Hmm.
hater. I don't care. Tua turn the ball over is not good. Now, some positives in this game. Rasheed Rice continues to look like the Chiefs' number one wide receiver. Patrick Mahomes steps up in the playoffs like he usually does. Um, I believe besides Super Bowls, this is the first time Mahomes won't in this divisional round be the first time he is playing a road game in his postseason career.
It is.
Who are they playing? Are they playing Buffalo?
Yeah, they play in Buffalo
Okay. Mahomes' helmet broke. Um,
because it was so cold.
it was yeah, freezing. There were a number of 911 calls for hypothermia for people at the game. There was a shirtless dude who had to go to the hospital for hypothermia. This game was cold. This game was also the lowest watched game of all because it was on Peacock. I still don't get why this game was on Peacock. Now, I have Peacock for WWE and wrestling and all that, but
Yeah,
I don't understand the reasoning for having a playoff game on Peacock. That is just my opinion. Um, there goes Nick. Um,
sorry. Oops. Sorry, the dog.
uh, Cleo.
I wanted to make sure that she wasn't chewing on anything that she shouldn't be.
That's what's
She's
important.
very loud.
Yeah, she is. She is. That's what we love about the little Cleo. Um, but the Dolphins, the defense was a lot better this year under Vic Fangio. There's things to work on for the Dolphins. I think the number one thing is quarterback. Get a system quarterback that can actually win. But all besides this, the Chiefs just straight out dominated this game. You could say that the Dolphins in cold weather didn't do well, it's because they were in cold weather, didn't do well. But at the same time, I just don't understand making continuous amount of excuses for this Dolphins team.
No, I mean, there's no excuses at this point. Like that can be made. They just straight up sucked.
Yeah,
They should have had the number 2 seed locked up,
yeah, but a last second
and
collapse.
yeah, I mean, everybody like the Bills were limping there for a while.
Yeah,
There was a chance that they weren't going to make the playoffs
yeah,
because they could not win. They
yeah.
lost to the Patriots.
Yes. No, the Bills started uh sorry. The Bills were at a all-time low in the middle of the season. And it should have been a runaway division for the Dolphins, but no, the Dolphins just
Yeah, they just limped.
sorry, I got distracted because I just got a Google Class notification from my financial planning teacher just posted a what is money?
What is money? Um. So what was the next game?
But yeah, no, I'm not shocked
That
the Chiefs
was
won and yeah.
so we got the. I think that's the Packers at the Cowboys was what was Sunday
Yes.
afternoon because originally it was the Bills Steelers was supposed to be the noon game, but
Yes.
the governor delayed it a day from the storm.
Because we gotta make everything easier for Josh Allen. But the Green Bay Packers, who are 9-8, went in on the road to face the Dallas Cowboys, who were 12-5 NFC East champs, and won and lost, and were 8-0 at home. Matt LaFleur said, I realize how good this team is at home. I know how good this defense is. I won the toss. I'm going to receive the football. I am going to take the football, trust my offense, and Jordan Love, who's basically a third or fourth year rookie, whatever it's been now.
Yeah,
I'm going to go out and we are going to put this offense on the field first, and we are going to go down and be as aggressive as we can, which worked out to a 12-play drive, which capped a 12-play 75-yard drive, which capped off with a Aaron Jones 3-yard touchdown run.
hmm
Then is an Aaron Jones 1-yard touchdown run. It became 14-0. Then then Don Tavion Wicks 20-yard touchdown pass from Jordan Love. It's now 20-0. Then Darnell Savage 64-yard pick six. It's now 27-0. Oh no! At halftime, it's about to be 27-0. But then Jake Ferguson gets a 1 yard touchdown pass from Dak Prescott to make it 27-7. Cowboys have they're almost flatlining here. We're losing them. We're losing them. Then a Brandon Aubrey 34-yard field goal. They get one more tick on that line.
Hmm.
One more tick. Then Aaron Jones 9 yard run. That extra tick is gone. Then
Yeah.
Tony Pollard touchdown. Then that tick is back. Then Luke Musgrave 38-yard touchdown, and then that tick is gone. Then Romeo Dobbs, it's 48-16 Green Bay, and Jake
To
Ferguson
start the fourth quarter.
starts the fourth quarter, and then Jake Ferguson caught two more touchdowns to make it 48-32. But at this point, that tick is gone. The Cowboys were dead, 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 dead. Their season is over. They lose 38-22, 38, 4, 5, gosh darn, daily dang.
38 or 48
You
32.
can't even get it right. You can't even get the score right.
I
They
can't get the score.
they lost,
Are we shocked? No.
huh?
Are we shocked that Nick can't get the score right?
Um, a little bit, but hey, 48-32, Packers win. Jordan Love and CJ Stroud were 2 yards away from having the exact same wild card debut. Jordan Love threw for two less yards than CJ Stroud. Um,
And
yeah,
had a higher PFF grade.
yes, I saw people complaining about that. Man, okay, sorry. Um, don't even know what goes into that. I guess you can be upset about that. You can. I don't know. You both still won. It's okay. Um, so the Cowboys, a lot of stuff was coming out about the team, and a lot of thought was, well, if Mike McCarthy lays a stinker in the postseason, like we all knew he would, the Cowboys would likely not hesitate to fire him.
Mm-hmm.
And this game was on. Uh, this game was on Sunday, and today was Wednesday, and we got a official word on what would be happening with Mike McCarthy. Would Mike McCarthy be back? Would he not? What was going to be the future going forward with somebody like Bill Belichick available to um, go out and get as the
Yeah.
new coach of the Dallas Cowboys? And the Dallas Cowboys decided that, you know what, we are going to stick with Mike McCarthy as our head coach. Mike McCarthy, we believe we can win a Super Bowl under Mike McCarthy. It ain't gonna happen.
Mm-mm. I'll be uh I'll be right back.
Okay. So yeah, no. Mike McCarthy, Dallas is not going to win Super Bowl under Mike McCarthy, because if the Cowboys were going to win with Mike McCarthy, this was going to be the year. You look at the Cowboys from a team standpoint. Dak Prescott was filter regular season stats. Dak Prescott threw for 4,500 yards this year, um, 36 touchdowns to 9 interceptions. Um, Truly having people believe he was a top five quarterback in the NFL, and thinking he was worth an extension. And you thought, you know what, maybe Dak is actually an MVP candidate. Maybe Dak actually has this. Um, Tony Pollard had 1,000 rushing yards, took a step back this year, his first year as the bell cow running back. CeeDee Lamb was one of the best receivers in the NFL with 1,700 receiving yards and 12 touchdowns on the year. Jake Ferguson, I believe rookie tight end. Yes, no, he's a second year player. Jake Ferguson, second year player. Um, 700 rushing yards. Brandon Cooks 600. Michael Gallup 400. This Cowboys offense was great, and this defense was fairly solid. But you go out and you lay a stinker like this on wild card weekend, and you sit there and you're unwilling to look at and figure out what the problem is. And the problem to me is that it is Mike McCarthy. He's just not that good of a coach. He was a product of his quarterback, Aaron Rodgers, when he was in Green Bay. Just Mike McCarthy is flat out not as good as everybody thought he was, and it is truly, honestly, time for the Cowboys to move on from Mike McCarthy, especially when a name like Bill Belichick is out there. Um, it is honestly embarrassing that the Cowboys had this sort of performance, but you look at the Packers, and it's unfortunate that it happened like this. But I had a hot take this year at the beginning of the year that Jordan Love was going to have a better year than Aaron Rodgers with the Jets. Now, unfortunately, it's kind of a given because Rodgers tore his Achilles. But Jordan Love got so much better as the season progressed for the Packers. It's honestly kind of crazy. Um, and shocking, and to see this transformation of Jordan Love for the Green Bay Packers. But he showed it. He went in on the road, took down this Dallas team that people thought actually had a chance to go into the Super Bowl. Basically, just with the right game plan. They were Matt LaFleur. Props goes to him. He wanted to involve the run game in a way where Dallas Dallas blitzes the quarterback really well, and Dallas gets pressure on the quarterback. That's kind of their their defensive scheme. Um, and Matt LaFleur game planned in a way to where Aaron Jones, who dominated this game, 21 carries, 118 yards, 3 touchdowns, was Aaron Jones was able to cook the entire game. He cooked that Packers or that Green Bay that he cooked that Dallas defense and essentially not carried the Packers, but he carried the Packers offensive scoring and allowed for the
I'm back.
um there's echo on your end.
What do you mean?
I can hear myself. Wait,
Now?
no, now I can't. Um,
Like when I was gone, you could?
no, when you first came
Oh,
back.
okay.
No,
Okay, sorry.
um, but the Aaron Jones and then the game plan that Matt LaFleur came up with really allowed the Packers offense to just absolutely slice through and obliterate the Packers or the Cowboys, sorry, defense.
Yeah, the Cowboys defense
Yes,
just wasn't there.
yes, it wasn't there at all. So I don't really know what your thoughts are on the game.
Um, I mean, I'm not shocked that the Cowboys lost because what is it? Tom Brady had more wins as a Buccaneer in the postseason than um, the Cowboys have had since '97.
Hmm.
So,
I mean,
I
yeah,
mean,
but this year was likely gonna probably be the year for the Cowboys. It's
yeah, somebody's talking a lot.
I can hear that. I can hear that. But the Cowboys, it was just a collapse. The NFC East just
Mhm.
collapsed this year.
Yeah. Um, so I think the next game is honestly the game I was looking forward to the most,
Hmm.
and that is Matthew Stafford's return to Detroit
Hmm.
for the first game, postseason game played in Ford Field,
Yes.
in the first postseason game played in Detroit in 30 years.
Yes, yes. I think everybody's looking forward to this Rams Lions game. The story there, Matthew Stafford's going up against his former team, left the Lions, won a ring in LA, and then you got Jared Goff, who just couldn't get it going together in LA, and has turned into an elite quarterback, in my opinion, in his time in Detroit. Uh, this game was high scoring. You had 7-0 Lions, 7-3 Lions, 14-3 Lions. Then you had 14-10 Lions, 21-10 Lions, 17-21 Lions, 24-17 Lions, 24-20 Lions, and then 24-23 Lions. This game was great, high scoring, fireworks. Uh, Puka Nakua left it all out on the field, capping off a record-breaking rookie receiving year. He had
Yeah,
9 receptions for 181 yards and 1 touchdown, truly leaving it all out on the field for his team. Um, just an amazing performance um,
like,
for
mwah.
for Puka Nakua. This Rams team, nobody expected him to be here, and then they shockingly get there. They get the running back Kern Williams. They got Matthew Stafford stays healthy this year, and the Rams looked like to be one of the shocking teams of the year. And
Yeah, I mean, I remember at the beginning of the season, I was like, I'm gonna take the worst team in Madden and rebuild them,
yeah,
and like, and that was the Rams.
yeah, yeah. No, the Rams were truly shocked everybody this year, and a great story. And it's fitting that they took on the Lions. Um, and you know, there's not really much to say about that. Just how good of a story it was that they took on the Lions, and they beat the Lions, and
Yep.
it just this game was awesome. This game was really fun.
Well, no, the Rams did not beat the Lions. The Lions beat the Rams.
I'm sorry. My brain is fried.
It's okay. It's understandable. Slip of the tongue. It's fine.
Yeah.
We this is a safe environment. We like to have fun here.
Yes. Yes. Oh my
Um, so Puka did really good. You know how I feel about Puka Nakua.
god. Mhm.
Um, I think if CJ Stroud didn't have as good of a year as he did, I think the Puka would be the pretty well clear front runner for
Rookie of the year. No, there's going to be a real race between these two.
and like which is good because in my opinion, rookie of the year for defensive side of the ball is not nearly as interesting.
Yeah.
I mean, like because I can't think of a defensive rookie that really like took me by storm.
Mhm.
So I would have thought it would have been Will Anderson,
Will
but
Anderson did
I
have
think
a
it.
good year.
Huh?
Will Anderson did have a good year.
He did, but it was a good like role play year. Like he did, like
Continue.
he had 7 sacks on the year,
As a
which isn't
rookie,
like as a rookie, but like
not everybody's going to get 20 sacks a year.
yeah, and like I understand that, and I know he has no help. Like okay,
John
Jonathan Grenard,
John Gernard would like to have a word with you, Mister. John
but
Gernard,
you're telling me that like they're gonna double team Jonathan Grenard.
Jonathan Gernard. I almost fell out of my chair. John Gernard, 12 and a half sacks. Will Anderson, 7. Sheldon Rankins, defensive tackle,
Yes,
6. Malik Collins, 5. Jerry Hughes, 3. Derek Barnett, in only 6 games, 2.5.
yes, and like they spread around the sacks. It's not like he was the only.
Because he was getting double teamed for the most part of the year.
Yeah, and they don't take double teaming into account. Everybody knew he was going to be a disruptor, and he was.
Hmm.
But we're getting a little off subject.
Well, you're
So,
the one who brought it up.
um,
Don't hate
you
the
know,
player, hate the game.
amen. So the fact that the Rams even got as far as they did is amazing. Uh, Makes me think that they're just a couple pieces away, especially with not having first round picks these last couple
Uh,
years. This was what the first year that they had a first round pick, like this past draft,
uh,
or is it the upcoming draft?
it is. It's the upcoming draft.
Yeah, so they haven't had a first round pick in like a couple years. They've been just surviving with second and third rounders. Uh, and so the fact that they made it this far is just wild
Hmm.
because it's hard to develop a team without a first round pick.
Yeah.
Um, and yeah, so that's all I got to say about that.
Hmm.
You got anything else you'd like to add?
No, that maybe just the fact that the Lions could be a team to watch coming out of the NFC.
I realize it's not going to happen, but I really would love it if it's Lions Texans for the Super Bowl
Mm.
because nobody's got that on their scorecard
Yeah.
coming into the season. Nobody was like, "Yep, it's going to be Lions Texans."
Yeah. No.
Everybody,
It'd be America's Super
everybody
Bowl.
thought it was going to be a repeat of last year, which we'll get to later.
Hmm.
Why it can't be a repeat of last year.
Yeah.
Uh, so for the Monday afternoon game, which was supposed to be the noon game for Sunday, we have the Steelers at the Bills.
Yeah. Uh,
Um, Honestly, my first thought is that the Steelers were never really in this game.
yeah, but nobody expected him to be.
Like it looks like, according to the Yahoo, like win probability with 5 minutes left in the first quarter, the Bills had a 96% chance of winning, and it never dipped below 90 after that for the entirety of the game.
Hmm.
Um, so what do you got, John?
Uh, I expect this is what you expected. You didn't expect. You didn't.
Yeah.
You did not expect. Um, you did not. I did. Not, I personally, I did not expect the Bills to get here. It was kind of cool how the Steelers got here mid-season. Mason Rudolph playing really for a backup role next year. Um, Played great down the stretch.
You think he'll be the backup next year?
I think the Steelers have to give Kenny Pickett another year because I had this conversation with myself a couple weeks ago when Mason Rudolph was getting ready to start against the Ravens the final week of the season. And it was like, the Steelers hadn't really seen this aggressiveness at quarterback under Kenny Pickett and Mitch Trubisky. And I said to myself, well, yeah, because of the quarterbacks, Mason Rudolph has nothing to play for. In terms of Mason Rudolph has everything to play for, but in terms of being a starter, if Mason Rudolph has a bad game, people are going to be like, well, it's kind of expected. He is not. He's an all right quarterback, but you put him in this spot, he's not going to do well. So a reliable backup, we can bring him in, a good clipboard holder. He's playing for nothing. He's playing for a roster spot. Mitchell Trubisky and Kenny Pickett are playing for their starting jobs. They're not going to force the ball downfield to George Pickens or Deontay Johnson, but Mason Rudolph has that ability because he's playing for, in retrospect, nothing. He's playing
Yeah,
for
like it didn't matter.
he's playing for everything while playing for nothing.
Yeah, like he's out there playing uh, to show people that he's a serviceable backup.
Yeah.
Because maybe there's a possibility that you know you're you don't like your quarterback that you got, and you want to bring Mason Rudolph in next year for a little bit of a competition. Maybe he can be your starter.
Eh, I wouldn't go that far. Mason, Mason Rudolph ain't that good.
Okay,
But
that's your
I
opinion.
get your argument though.
Okay, I was gonna say,
But if it seems actually doing that, you've got other issues on your hand.
but if your team's actually doing that, you got other issues on your hands.
Yeah, no, but the Bills dominated this game. George Pickens says can't play the Bills and the refs. Your typical George Pickens meltdown. George, again, if you're listening, I'm sorry. Please don't menacingly come stand in the doorway of my room. That would scare me. You could beat me in a fight.
Yeah.
But if you do want to come play wide receiver for the Patriots, I will be fine with that. But I am going to say that you throw one of these tantrums every week, so it's not a Steelers game without George.
Huh?
You throw one of these temper tantrums a week. It's not a Steelers game week without George Pickens throwing his helmet on the sideline once.
I think he's just frustrated because he
He wants to be
is
a
a
Patriot.
better because he's better than. I think he's just not happy
Because he
there.
wakes up every morning and realizes they took Tyquan Thornton over me.
Yeah. So, I really don't have a lot for this game. I mean, the Bills just
The Bills did what everybody expected
ever
the
since
Bills
they
to do, and
fired
they were they were supposed to do.
ever since they fired Ken Dorsey, it's just been
Joe Brady has done wonders on that offense. He's done miracles on that offense.
yeah. I mean, we were talking about that earlier.
Mm.
And like before the show,
Yeah.
we were talking about that. I just I I don't know. I have a problem with like the narrative that surrounds Mike Tomlin. The he hasn't ever had like a losing season,
Mm-hmm.
but then it's like, well, what does he do in the playoffs?
Yes. And in Mike Tomlin's defense, since 2016, what's his quarterback play been? A couch
Mm-hmm.
potato, a quarterback who has to wear two gloves because his hands are too small to grab the football, a guy who the Bears took over Deshaun Watson and Patrick Mahomes, and a guy whose head got dented in by Myles Garrett. But it's
Yeah.
like another thing where it's like I get the argument, but Tomlin always has his teams ready to succeed, even when people don't think that he's going to. It's consistency. It's just it usually falls apart, which I
And
think is a
like when
testament to the
he
players, not so much the coaching.
so like if he has a losing record eventually, he got pretty close this season.
Yeah,
But like, what happens then? Like, what's his
I
thing?
think my only issue with Mike Tomlin is his offensive stuff because like he willingly employed Matt Canada.
For a long time.
Yeah, like Matt Canada should have been toast like a while ago.
And honestly, I don't understand the walking out of the press conference
Um,
after the game.
I'm I'm gonna take an attempt at that.
Okay.
So you just lose a frustrating playoff game that got moved the day before. It was a frustrating game. You weren't supposed to be here. Your quarterback, that's not really that good, didn't play well. You're frustrated. You're tired. It was a long, long season. You get asked about your contract. Are you going to be back? Like, there's nothing about Mike Tomlin retiring or leaving. The Steelers will never let that happen. I understand getting pissed, and plus, Mike Tomlin. I'm sorry, as somebody who loves my fair share of memes and respond with videos, Mike Tomlin is a gem at giving us those, and that's another one. I mean, I use that video a lot in my phone. I have in my phone with Mike Tomlin from the COVID season going, "We do not care."
We do not care.
You know, Mike Tomlin is he's a good Mike Tomlin's just a funny, goofy dude. When he tripped Jacoby Jones going off the sidelines, preventing him from scoring a touchdown, I'm like, that's just Mike Tomlin. Mike Tomlin does that stuff. You know,
Tripping dudes.
he accidentally like it's like Jacoby Jones is running down the sideline, and Tom was like standing like right here, like on the field, like watching it on the jumbotron this way, and didn't see like the last minute that Jacoby Jones was gonna run by, and so he jumps out the way this way, and like it causes Jacoby Jones to get tackled. You've never seen that video?
Mm-mm.
Oh
I'll
my
have to look that up after.
yes.
And yeah. So you got anything else about this game?
No, I don't.
So last but certainly not least, we have the Super Bowl runner-up from last year taking on the Tampa Bay Buccaneers.
Yeah. The Eagles flew all the way into the ground. Nick Sirianni, bum. I am so happy to see that clown lose. Oh my gosh, I'm so happy to see that clown Nick Sirianni lose. The Eagles are 1-6 since Nick Sirianni walked on the field and said, "I ain't hearing any talking anymore, Chiefs fans. See ya." He Nick Sirianni is corny. He sucks. He's overrated. He was a product of his coaches. He's not good. Bum. Can't talk to the media. His introductory press conference sucked. He's corny. I know I said that already, but he's corny. The video of him looking in the camera on the sideline for the commercial break. Like, dude, you're not good, homie. You're not good.
You're not him.
You're not, dude. So your last you say you beat so let's go to their schedule. Let's go to their schedule. Why are the Chiefs not on their schedule? Why? Because it goes from the bottom. Oh, ESPN's wait.
Starting from the bottom of you.
Okay, so you beat the Chiefs 21-17. You beat the Bills in overtime. You lose to the 49ers 42-19. You lose to the Eagles. You lose to Drew Lock. You almost lose to Tommy Cutlets.
You lose to the Eagles. How can the Eagles lose to the
Seahawks.
Eagles? Okay.
You lose to Drew Lock and the Seahawks. You almost lose to Tommy Cutlets and Tyrod Taylor. And then you lose to the 2-win Arizona Cardinals. Then you do lose to Tyrod Taylor. You almost lost to Mac Jones week 1.
Yeah. That's when I knew that there was problems. When the Patriots, had it not been raining, and without that Darius Slay interception, pick 6, I don't think they win that game.
Yeah, no. And so there was nothing that showed me that this Eagles team was going to be good. You know the real downfall? Matt Patricia becoming the defensive coordinator. Oh my gosh, dude! I had so much fun watching Baker Mayfield and the Eagles and the Buccaneers defense just rip up this Eagles team. Watching Nick Sirianni and Matt Patricia lose in one night, I was eating good in the neighborhood.
Good in the neighborhood.
What food chain is that?
Good question.
Now that's eating good in the neighborhood.
I don't know.
Damn. But no,
But yeah, the fact that they lost.
Yeah, the Buccaneers put up 32 points, 32-9. Baker Mayfield looked awesome.
Applebee's.
Yes, Applebee's. The Eagles choked. The Buccaneers were able to stop the tush push. Just the Eagles
Twice.
The Eagles' luck just ran out.
Mm-hmm.
I do want to say Baker Mayfield got into it with C.J. Gardner-Johnson. C.J. Gardner-Johnson said, if you give Tampa Bay a good QB, that's a great group. Evans, Godwin, Gage, that's a great group. And Baker Mayfield's response was, I don't think he's really watched film because he mentioned Russell Gage. We love Russell, but Russell hasn't played a snap for us all year.
He hasn't.
Nope.
Why?
I don't know.
Like, is he hurt?
I don't know
Okay.
stands for I don't know.
Well, you seem to know a lot, brother.
I do. I do. I just don't
Or
happen.
so you claim.
I just okay, fine. I, I didn't know Russell Gage would just show how much I know stuff.
I'm willing to die on this
Do you
hill.
know what team Russell Gage even played for?
The Falcons?
Okay, name every team Russell Gage has ever played for in his career.
Tampa Bay, the Falcons.
He's placed on
The
IR. He's
Bears.
placed on IR. It didn't Taylor Gabriel, but he was placed on IR on August 17th. Fine. I'll go ahead and tell you Russell Gage has played for two teams in his career, Nick.
Yeah.
And Russell Gage has had a crisp one, two, three, four different numbers. Can you tell me what any of those?
How?
Can you tell me what any of the numbers are? Since you're such a big Russell Gage fan,
14.
83, 14, 17, and 3.
I got the one right.
Yes, you did. Didn't know you were quite the Russell Gage fan.
Mhm. That's right. I know about Russell Gage.
Okay, okay.
Relinquish your title. Relinquish the title, brother. Um. So the Buccaneers beat them.
Yeah,
Beat the Eagles.
they did.
Um.
The Eagles suck. So that's all I'm gonna end it on. I'm gonna just end it on the fact that I'm happy the Eagles suck.
And there was some thought that Nick Sirianni might get fired if they didn't
Should have,
ma-
should have,
make.
should have been fired.
And there's a couple. There's a him and Mike McCarthy has both said they were going to get fired, and obviously neither of them have been.
I like bald like this.
And
I
huh?
look bald when I do this.
Yeah, you do. So if that's all we got for the wild card weekend, let's talk about some of these coaching
Yeah,
vacancies
let's
just real quick.
wrap it up on some quick things, coaching things. So if you didn't know, the first of 8 head coaching vacancies was filled today as the Patriots officially introduced um, Gerard May
Jar of mayo.
Gerard Mayo as the 15th head coach in franchise history. Him and young Thundercat Robert Kraft held a press conference today, and in case you didn't know, apparently Gerard Mayo calls him Young Thundercat or Thundercat, and it's when you have a nickname for somebody, it's like sometimes you gotta think about it when you call him. Like one of my friends used a voice changer once in a game, and his name, and it sounded like I was like, well, what do we name this character? Nobody can think of it, and I was like, Clark. So I'll call him Clark, but I'll have to think about it sometimes because I know that's not really Clark. Gerard Mayo was ripping off
Like
Thunder, like as Thunder said. It's like it's like that's all he's called Robert Kraft ever since he's met him.
mhm. like yeah, I mean, like he said it without even thinking,
Yeah,
and like there was just a level of comfort there that's nice to
yeah.
see.
No, Gerard Mayo is going to turn the Patriots around. Whether that's drafting Marvin Harrison Jr., drafting Jaden Daniels, somehow Caleb falls to 3. Maybe they trade up to Caleb. They need to get Drake May. They're going to get one of those 4 guys. All I know is
Mhm.
I wake up in a constant fear every night that it's going to be Joe Alt's name announced. Um,
Mhm.
but
I know you've told me you've called me in the middle of the night and said, Nick, I just had a nightmare that they They drafted Joe Alt 3.
Yeah. 'Cause I have a feeling it's gonna happen. I have a feeling it's gonna happen. It's gonna happen. They're gonna let me down. But
But are you feeling let down because they don't need a tackle? Or are you feeling let down because
we need a quarterback. We need a wide receiver. The two worst positions on the team this year. Now, there is a guy named Marvin Harrison Jr. Maserati Marv, who can turn a franchise around in an instant. There's a guy named Caleb Williams who can turn our franchise around in an instant. There's a guy named Drake May who can come in with the right system, turn your franchise around. You have Jaden Daniels, if everything goes right, can turn your franchise around. Joe Alt can't do that.
but what's great about drafting at 3 is if one of those three guys, one of the top three guys, Drake May, Caleb Williams, Marvin Harrison Jr., will be there
Yes.
at 3.
Don't forget Jaden Daniels because it
And,
sounds like the Patriots might go Jaden Daniels.
and I am I am a Mac Jones guy. I may be in the minority, but he's been in this is his second year in the league. This was his
Third.
third year in the league, and he's had three different offensive coordinators.
Mm-hmm.
And so I don't know if it's fully his
But
fault
Bill
that
O'Brien was
he.
going to be the OC to put him in the best spot possible.
Yes, and then they didn't give him a chance. And the offense was lackluster because they have no weapons.
Yes, but
They have they have like two weapons, and that is but everybody knows that you're going to be throwing into either Mike Gesicki or Hunter Henry. And so because you're certainly not going to be throwing it to no hands receivers. You're not going to be hitting Jalen Rieger unless it's the very end of the season when he learns how to catch the ball.
yeah, no, but Mac threw some of the worst interceptions I've ever seen this year. I don't think the Patriots. I don't know if the Patriots can win with Bailey Zappi or Mac Jones. But we're gonna get caught off on this tangent for too long. The Patriots are likely going to go quarterback or wide receiver, third overall pick. But they're the only team so far to hire their head coach. You have the Commanders who fired Ron Rivera looking for a head coach. You have the Atlanta Falcons who fired Arthur Smith, thank God, looking for a head coach. You have the Tennessee Titans looking for a head coach. They, for some reason, fired Mike Vrabel. Pete Carroll, the game got too hard for him, and he's gone. The Panthers, the Raiders, I think it's probably going to be Antonio Pierce. Chargers, most appetizing job in the NFL, if you ask me. Now, no idea what the direction the Titans are going to go. No idea what the Seahawks are going to do. They're interviewing Dan Campbell. Not Dan Campbell. Dan Quinn. Dan Quinn might actually get that job. The Panthers can't do anything right.
No. And
They had the
honestly,
hire of the year last year, if you ask me, and they just fumbled it.
it could go one of two ways with them hiring. Because in my opinion, it is the least appetizing job.
Yes.
Because David Temper or whatever is now has solidified himself as the worst owner. And for a while, it seemed like it was going to be Ursay to start the season because he wouldn't stop talking.
Yeah.
And now it's him because you, as an owner, cannot throw your beer or your drink at a fan,
An opposing fan.
an opposing fan, because they're talking to you like that. You are a billionaire.
Yeah.
You cannot act like a child.
You're going on in public saying that, we had a deal in place to actually do this. We were going to trade with Houston. We were going to go get CJ Stroud. It's like, dude, you drafted you made one of the worst trades in NFL history. Like, dude, this is all your fault. You're the one to blame. You're the man. Look in the mirror.
You had the number one pick. You could have taken CJ Stroud.
No, they traded for number one. But they could have had it this year and gotten a better
Yeah,
prospect in Caleb Williams.
no. When they traded for the number one pick, it's not like somebody picked
But Bryce Young was
CJ Stroud
but
before.
Bryce Young was the consensus number one. They traded all that up for Bryce Young because people believe the dumb S2 cognitive test that is one of the biggest scams in NFL history. That thing, you cannot base your quarterback off of that.
And that's just CJ Stroud has really shown that this year that doesn't matter. Um, I honestly think that the Panthers' job is least appealing because of that, because of
Yeah,
him. And so you're either going to go with a head coach that has never coached before,
that's I think the only person you're going to be able to get.
or you're going to have to get a disgraced head coach. And what I mean by that is like a head coach that got fired in the middle of the season somewhere, or like hasn't coached in a while
Uh huh.
because they weren't great, and hope that they can turn the team around.
Yeah.
Like a Bill O'Brien would be the kind
No,
of
I don't even think. I think a coach like that's too smart to take that Panthers job. They're going to need to go get a low tier assistant who's willing to take that job. Um,
maybe you finally give Eric Bieniemy a
nope,
shot.
he ain't leaving Washington. Nope.
Maybe Washington promotes Eric
Nope.
Bieniemy.
It's going to be Ben Johnson. You heard it here first. My prediction: Lions OC Ben Johnson's going to take this job.
Where?
Washington.
Oh, Washington is going to be Ben
I think
Johnson.
so. I got.
And Antonio
I
Pierce.
got. I got. I got a couple predictions, and then I'll go 2 years real quick.
Okay.
So I'm going to go job by job. Commanders, Ben Johnson. Falcons, I believe it's going to be Bill Belichick. The only reason I could see Harbaugh taking this is because I'll get to Harbaugh in a second with the Chargers because they're actually going to be looking for a GM, I believe. But the Falcons are a team dumb enough to draft JJ McCarthy where they are to convince Harbaugh to come. So I could see Harbaugh taking that. They're the only team that's dumb enough to draft JJ McCarthy there. But right now, if I have to bet money on it, I have Bill Belichick going to the Falcons. Tennessee Titans, I don't really know. Um, maybe Dan Quinn, maybe Aaron Glenn.
Because that was such a random
Yeah, it
fire.
really was. And
Like they fired him because they thought he was going to
the
take
New England
the
job.
right, and then he didn't.
Yeah,
And now it's like you can't repair
yeah,
that. You can't be like, "Oops, sorry. You want to come back and coach for us for one more year?"
yeah, yeah. So maybe
I think Vrabel ends up taking one of these openings, but
I don't know. I don't know. It's hard to gauge as of right now. But maybe Aaron Glenn, maybe Darren Quinn, maybe they go defensive mind again. I don't really know. Seahawks, no idea. Truly no idea. Panthers, no idea. Vegas Raiders, it's going to be Antonio Pierce. The players love him. It's gonna bring the most continuity to that team. I think that's going to be a great hire for them. Los Angeles Chargers, it's going to be Jim Harbaugh. That's the best roster in the NFL and of the coaching hires. That's going to be the one to convince Jim Harbaugh to come out of college, back from college. So I believe it's going to be Jim Harbaugh that gets the Chargers job.
really because I would have expected my predictions is like between Harbaugh and Belichick. The Belichick I think is going to get the Chargers job because the GM position is open and he is a proven
No,
he has been the
I'm
GM
not. I
before.
love Bill Belichick, but I'm not going to let you say he's a proven general manager when his scouting department wanted him to take AJ Brown over N'Keal Harry, and he overrode them on taking N'Keal Harry over AJ Brown. There has been plenty of instances where Belichick has overridden decisions that are not good when it comes to draft night and stuff. So I love Bill Belichick. I will forever grateful for that. I just can't let you say that statement and get behind it. No, no offense to you, obviously. I just truly cannot. The Bill Belichick GM thing. I'm sorry. I just can't. Now, maybe I'm a
Okay.
hurt fan over a couple draft moves that I don't agree with. Maybe I am. I don't really care. What you think I am as a Patriots fan?
Right, but I think out of the two best coaching positions that I can see him taking, he has already said that he wants to go to an underperforming team, has he not?
He did.
Hey, didn't he say that he wanted to coach a team that was underperforming that had a good roster, or was that Harbaugh?
I don't really know who said that actually.
So the best roster might actually be the Falcons.
Yeah, on paper wise, and with team control guys. That's why the Chargers are those two teams are in win now modes, which is why I think it's gonna come down to one of those. But it's just just don't see Harbaugh leaving Michigan for Atlanta.
Yeah, um I don't either. Now that I think about it, like I agree. I think Harbaugh, if he leaves Michigan,
Yeah,
will go to the Chargers.
yeah.
Um, I think if, but if the Chargers can't get Harbaugh, I think they go with
I think they
Belichick.
do too. And then in that case, I don't know what the Falcons' pivot move is. I have no idea.
Mhm. I think Belichick's waiting to see what happens with the Chargers,
Before he takes the
and
Atlanta job.
then, mhm. and I think at first Belichick was waiting to see if the Cowboys
Yeah,
job was going to become
yeah, but I think we now know that the Cowboys
Um,
are so much
I
of a laughing
think
stock that that wasn't gonna ever happen.
I think somebody who um, could possibly it's going to be somebody that is going to take the Panthers job is going to be somebody who is always talked about as a head coach. Like their name is always thrown around in head coaching
Uh huh.
circles, and but it just never gets a job. Um, kind of like Eric Bieniemy, but not Eric Bieniemy. Uh, maybe Josh McDaniel, not McDaniel, Josh McCown.
He's already on staff for the Panthers as
Right? So it
their
could be an internal.
QB coach.
I mean, it's an easy like promotion track, I guess.
If they want some reason to
Um,
come in and fix it, their best hire is Brian Flores.
would Brian Flores take that job?
That's the thing I don't know.
See, it's such an unappealing job. It's hard to tell who's going to take the
That's
job.
the issue with it. That is.
Um, I think honestly, I think Eric Bieniemy might get the. I know you said the Lions OC, but I think it might be Bieniemy.
I don't know. We will. You know what? That's the beauty of it. We're just gonna have to wait and see.
So let's see. Apparently, according to this, the Commanders have interviewed uh, Mike McDonald, Anthony Weaver, Bobby Slowick, Aaron Glenn, and Raheem Morris.
Slowick's another name to watch. I just don't think he'll leave Houston yet.
Apparently, McDonald got a interview with the Falcons as well. Um, Glenn and Quinn have got No, Tennessee has interviewed Callahan and the Giants OC. Uh, they want to interview Antonio Pierce.
Yeah, I saw that.
The the Seahawks don't haven't. What are you doing, Jonathan?
Drawing circles on a piece of paper.
Okay, so maybe we should just wrap this up.
No, continue. It's the ADHD's kicking in. My brain's firing on all cylinders.
So the Seahawks said that they don't really have a
The
like the
Seahawks
only
job is
person
so
linked.
confusing. The only person actually linked to it was, it say Dan Campbell? Not Dan Campbell, Dan Quinn?
Yeah, it says Dan
Yeah,
Quinn.
because I think he was an assistant there.
Um, yeah, he was there when the Legion of Boom was
Oh, well,
there. He was the DC.
why wouldn't you want that? Now, okay, I brought this up to Dad, and I almost hate bringing this up because it's going to really affect the Patriots, but you almost see more defensive-minded coaches, like defensive coordinators, struggle when they get coaching promotions than you
Hmm.
do NFL. So maybe that's the thing that these teams are factoring in now. Who really knows? All I know is I think there's a couple, like I think Bobby Sloak might be this cycle's Ben Johnson, where it's like he's been OC for a year. I don't think he'll take the job, um, but you don't really know, and it's kind of hard to gauge with these jobs. How appetizing these jobs look to appetizing these jobs look to coaches, and just what coaches actually want to take this job and take the responsibility of being a head coach.
Hmm. So it looks like Carolina wants a offensive coordinator to become their head coach.
Interesting.
They've interviewed Miami's OC Frank Smith, Brian Johnson, and um,
Hmm.
like I think Antonio Pierce is the guy for the Raiders just because of Max Crosby. I don't feel like Max Crosby makes empty threats. I'm pretty sure he'd say he would be traded
Yeah.
anyways. So if you want, like I said in an episode in the past, I could see Max Crosby being in a trade from the Raiders to the Bears for the number one overall
Uh huh.
pick. So if him saying he wanted to be traded, if you don't hire Antonio Pierce, like made you angry, um, then maybe you maybe you trade him anyways.
Maybe you do. Maybe you do. And those are things and stories that, could develop in the next coming weeks as we get closer to the offseason and the draft.
Yeah, I think. Oops. I think a lot of head coaching moves are going to be done. February is going to be very busy for head
Uh huh.
coaching moves because the uh, combine is in February. Like
I'm going to be watching the combine this year.
like towards I want to say it starts on like the
Uh
26th,
huh.
the combine. So, oh, February. So, if the Super Bowl is the second week,
Yeah. Almost coming up on it.
like the second week of February, and yep, Saturday, February 11th, Sunday.
I'm about to say Super Bowl Saturday don't sound too good.
No, it is on Saturday.
No, it's not. Super Bowl's never been on Saturday.
That can't be right. Okay, that's so weird. So on Yahoo, it says Saturday, February 11th, but February 11th is a
Yeah, no, it's
Sunday.
just because Yahoo's behind the times.
Um, so that's the yeah. I mean, you got to have a GM and a head coach in place by the
Yeah, you do,
combine,
and your
and
GM has
so
to not be named Matt Groh. But tips all fans, all tips all teams out there, don't hire Matt Groh. Actually, no, do hire Matt Groh, please. Not the Patriots.
so
But
that's that's all I
that's
got,
all I
bud.
got to, man. That's all I got to. We're gonna see more of these jobs file out as the weeks come on, and more teams get eliminated from the postseason.
So when can a team hire a head coach?
Uh, I think if there's a true deadline, it is coming up on that because it's like the divisional round or something like that.
Oh,
It's like coming up on it's like the divisional round or something like that. Yeah,
oh really?
I think I don't know if there's an actual cap on it or not.
I mean, like no, like when are we gonna? When do you think we're gonna start seeing head coaches be named?
Oh, when do I think? I don't know.
Because like you're not gonna hire a head coach from a team that's in the playoffs.
Yeah, no, you're not. It just doesn't happen like that. Um, so I think once more teams start getting eliminated from the postseason, we're going to see some. I think it's going to happen in a couple weeks.
Like Pro Bowl week.
Uh, Potentially.
All right. Well, we can save that for another
Just
time.
because it's like you got to factor in when a team like you don't know like if a guy's offered a job and it's like, well, if we want to go out and interview that guy, it's hard to tell.
Yeah, like if you wanted to go out and interview, like, who is it, Ben
Yeah.
Johnson? You said, like,
And how many
like
teams are going to
he
approve the interview request? Because you have to request them too. So
so realistically, the the Lions could deny the request.
essentially, yes, they could. Like, um, they could essentially deny their request, but you usually rarely don't see that happen. Like, it's rare to see a team go out and straight just block another team's interview. Is your wife throwing pans across the room?
No, she's just moving
Oh,
stuff. All right. So I think let's wrap up.
I think we talked a lot. We're gonna have some videos come out later this week, some mock drafts, UFC 297 predictions for the NFL divisional round coming up. So stay on the tune for those. If you watch the podcast on YouTube, be sure to like, subscribe, comment on Spotify. Be sure to follow, turn on the Spotify notifications, and thank you for listening. And we will see you next time. Bye.